Hey, I'm Kelly Hogan, and welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. Almost every single day, I see someone on the internet saying the exact same thing. If you aren't losing weight, then you're not in a calorie deficit. Hey, bro, if you're not losing weight, you're not in a calorie deficit. Hey, babe, if you're not losing weight, you're not in a calorie deficit. And also, almost every single day, I hear from someone with a story similar to this. One of my group members has done carnivore for 3 months. She tracks every single day. By the way, she's a new member and she just let me know this 5 days ago. 3 months carnivore before joining the group. She did not lose a pound. She tracks everything, which is not hard, she said, because she has eaten the exact same thing every day. She does not put cream in her coffee. She does not drink any additional calories. She drinks water, and every single day she eats the same thing. 2 quarter-pound beef patties and 3 slices of bacon. I was really hoping when she said at first, I eat 2 burger patties, that she would say they were like half a pound or a pound a piece. Nope. Single quarter-pound beef patties and 3 slices of bacon. And then I was hoping she was going to tell me what she ate for the rest of the day. No, that's it for the day for 3 straight months. I ask her if she is full eating that much. Yeah, she's never hungry, but she's just never hungry. I'm never hungry on carnivore. I hear people say that all the time. So I went over to my handy dandy carb manager tracking app and I entered her food. It is 552 calories. I have a three-legged dog. She's a doodle. Her name is Millie. She eats 2 quarter-pounders every morning, raw patties, and 2 raw patties every evening. This woman is eating less than my three-legged dog. Now, if all of these internet gurus are right when they say if you aren't losing weight, you're not in a calorie deficit, then you would have to assume that this lady is smaller than my Labradoodle, because that amount of food would be a deficit for any adult, right? 552 calories is a deficit for even an adult that was bedridden. And this lady is not. In fact, she's exercising. And it turns out she was, in fact, in a calorie deficit when she first started eating so little food years ago. So she wasn't dieting back then as a carnivore, but she's been dieting for decades. She did lose weight when she first started dieting many years ago because, yes, she was in a calorie deficit off of what she was previously doing. So, of course, she lost weight. Now she's in, I think she said her 60s. She's not losing anything. And I think this is the piece that is missing for so many people. Instead of telling people that they aren't in a deficit, I think we need to tell them that every single deficit, it will work and it will absolutely quit working with time. So when the professionals, when they do a cut phase, it has a beginning, it has an end. They try to get off as much weight as possible while they're in this calorie deficit cut phase. And then the cut phase ends and they work their way back up to maintenance. They refeed their body while they continue lifting their weights so they can put on their muscle. When their body has recovered and they feel mentally ready, then they begin another cut phase. So it makes perfect sense that the physique experts would say, if you aren't losing weight, you aren't in a deficit. Because that is true. If you have been maintaining weight at your maintenance calories long enough for your body to heal from your last calorie cut. So then you start a deficit. And if you are in a true deficit, then you will lose weight. But those professionals, they all know that that cut does not work forever. The experts all know you can only do that for a certain amount of time, and then you'll have to bring your calories back up. They all know that they do a cut phase and a bulk phase. So that advice makes perfect sense to them. If you're not losing weight, you're not in a deficit. Makes sense to them from where they are coming from as repeating this process over and over in order to get leaner and stronger. But when the non-professionals Us who are not physique experts who have been doing this for years and we don't go on stage and get cut for shows or modeling shoots, when we hear them say that, we just want to scream and shake them by the shoulders and say, but these people are in a deficit. This lady is eating less than 600 calories a day and isn't losing anything because she's been in a deficit for so long. Her body no longer perceives it as a deficit. This cut phase quit working 12 years ago, but they never came out of the deficit apart from, say, an occasional binge when she just couldn't take being hungry anymore. And then she punished herself by going back into this extreme deficit. And I think sometimes the pros, they assume that people like this lady, that she's just binging all the time. And that's what's keeping you from losing weight because you're just binging all the time. But I have lived this and I know better. A cut will work until it doesn't, and everyone knows that. But at that point, you've got some really good options, and we've also got some bad ones. And I spend a lot of time working with my group members on what do you do when a cut stops working. I don't know how in depth I'm going to get in this video with the what to do when a cut stops working, because I have covered that some in videos and I definitely teach on it a lot. But I do want to share what I hear frequently. So let's go back in time to when you started your very first diet. For many women that I work with, that happened at about age 12. I have had group members share through tears that their mothers signed them up for Weight Watchers before they were even officially teenagers. I have some group members who had to do daily or weekly weigh-ins at their house in front of their mom and sometimes even the rest of the family. One lady said it was so unfair because her brothers never had to weigh in, but she did. Their food was limited. They were watched like a hawk. And my guess is they probably did lose some weight when they first started doing that. Sure, it came at the expense of some serious trauma, but they probably lost some weight. I had some family members that would brag and dote on me and pet on me like I was a little Shih Tzu during phases of young adulthood when I would actually manage to slim myself down. And it felt kind of nice, right? Like, oh, I felt pretty. It was also kind of horrible because it felt like I have to look a certain way in order to be loved this much. And in order to look that way, I just have to go hungry and feel deprived all the time. And yes, I did have to work through some of that. Thanks for asking. So I and all of my group members know that when we first did eat less, it worked. No one in our lives ever said, however, hey, you've been eating less and less for quite a while now. You seem a little tired. And I did catch you sneaking a cookie the other day, so maybe it's time to take a little dieting break. It's really important that we do that. So for a while, I do want you to eat more. We're going to make sure that we do it with lots of good protein and plenty of animal fat. And of course, our family's going to keep going to the gym together so we can all keep working on our strength and muscles and grow big and strong. No one ever said that to me. And I'm guessing no one ever said that to this poor lady now eating 552 calories, and maybe nobody ever said it to you. So I'm here to say it to you today. Also, just a side note, I think it's a really terrible idea to get kids hyper-focused on their body and their appearance. And I do think it's a really great idea for families to take walks together and to eat healthy foods and to work on getting stronger for the sake of feeling good, getting healthy, and staying strong. And I'm not going to get into all of that today, maybe another video. Anyway, instead of our mothers encouraging us to take diet breaks, maybe you were just encouraged to diet harder and harder. And when it quit working, maybe you were told it's because you were still eating too much. So many people, including myself, we finally felt free when we went off to college or when we finally got our own place. And the hunger eventually caught up to us all of these years, and we just piled weight on. That was me. And then reality set in, and we stepped on a scale or realized none of our clothes fit. And then we began the second, and many times for many people, it was our final big calorie cut because from there, we just ate less and less and less and less. So, in other words, when we went off to college or finally did this whole big binge, we did make it up to maintenance. I know that that was me. When I went off to college, I know I made it up to my maintenance calories far above. I piled on so much weight. And then I decided once again to double down on this eating less and moving more. And look at that. It worked again. Wonderful. And just like any calorie cut, then it would eventually stop working. So we had to work a little harder, run a little more, eat a little less. And for many people I know, they continued that cycle until they got pregnant for the first time. And they finally had a reason to eat again. We can eat for two, in fact. I'm going to eat not just for me and this baby, but for myself in the last 10 years because I've been starving. And I know folks that gained 60 to 100 pounds during pregnancy. This was not just a hormonal issue. I think it's because they were finally eating after years of not eating enough. So they just went on a 9-month binge eating session because they were undernourished and finally allowed themselves to eat. So my encouragement to you today is to just find out, is this you? Are you the chronic undereater? If you have been told by anyone in your lives, and I don't care if it was a well-meaning adult, maybe it was even a carnivore influencer that said things like this. If you're eating the right foods, you do not need to track. Or if you want to do carnivore, all you have to do is eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. Or you've been told calories are just a measurement of heat. Our body does not even recognize calories as fuel. And yes, want to acknowledge, I get all of that. These people are brilliant, the ones who are saying these things. I do not think they are wrong. When a healthy person is eating the right foods, meat, they likely do not need to track. When someone has a healthy amount of ghrelin, they'll know when they're hungry for meat. When someone has a healthy amount of leptin and they're leptin sensitive, they will know when they are full. And yes, calories are a measurement of heat, but it's also the way that most people know how to track their food intake based on nutritional facts on the food and based on tracking apps. So if you are experiencing signs of chronic undereating, such as you are cold all the time, even in July, you have a body temperature that runs below 98 degrees. Mine used to be, when I was an undereater, my body temp stayed below 96 degrees. 95.7 was my most common body temp reading. And I just thought, haha, see, I have a slow metabolism. Yeah, because you're eating nothing, right? If taking a walk feels like a chore because you have no get up and go, if you are losing hair, you have brittle nails, maybe you have irregular periods where they stopped, but you're not even menopausal yet. You have digestive issues like constipation, bloating, and even diarrhea because there's not enough food there to form a nice poo. That's a thing. Maybe you catch every little bug that's going around, or you don't have the muscle strength to open a jar of pickles. We don't even eat pickles, or to carry your own seltzer boxes, or to open your own pack of bacon. You have no desire for anything in the bedroom other than sleep. But then when you do try to sleep, you can't even stay asleep because you're not fueled enough. It takes a lot of fuel to keep asleep all night. So even the sleeping in the bedroom is a bummer, let alone anything else. Maybe you still have obsessive food thoughts, even though you thought carnivore was supposed to have fixed that. Or you feel anxiety and a lack of happiness, even though there's nothing wrong. You struggle to focus, you have mental fog. You occasionally do binge eat and then get mad at yourself. You have low blood sugar from time to time. You experience dizziness when you stand up. Oh, and another symptom of chronic years of undereating is stubborn weight loss resistance. If you are still having some of these issues, or maybe you don't feel a lot of these issues, but you've tracked, you know you're undereating. Y'all, this has to be addressed before you can expect to feel better or lose weight. So I just want to give you some encouragement to ignore some of the very, very loud voices out there that tell you that you must be eating too much if you're not losing weight. That is possible, yes. It's also very possible that you've just eaten so little for so long that now your thyroid is slow functioning, your cortisol is chronically elevated, your inflammation levels are even up. And yes, that does happen in chronic undereaters. I will share the research before. CRP levels go up in people who are chronically undereating. It's possible that your estrogen and your progesterone are completely unbalanced, which is also very common in undereaters. And did you know that there's even this phenomenon called starvation diabetes, which is quite common in areas around the world where chronic undereating is the only option, such as sub-Saharan Africa. They're not trying to diet, they just don't have enough food. Not only are they severely malnourished, but type 2 diabetes is rampant there because blood sugar regulation is nearly impossible with high cortisol and elevated insulin. Insulin will also go up when we are in survival mode after years of just not having enough nutrients. Did you also know that a rising number of people are now being diagnosed here in America with something called atypical anorexia? They are still overweight. They do not look anorexic, but they have the same blood work, the same symptoms of someone who looks like they have typical anorexia. They have the high blood sugar and then blood sugar plummets. They have higher triglycerides, higher inflammation markers, thyroid issues, and even the cardiovascular problems that come along with someone who is more typical anorexic. These people don't look underweight. They aren't underweight. They're sometimes very overweight, but they have the same exact health issues. Atypical anorexia is now in the DSM-5, and it is one of the growing number of people who are being admitted into eating disorder facilities. It's a problem. If I could sum this up so far, chronic undereating, it's a problem. There it is. And it's also a really common problem in the carnivore community, especially because people don't feel that same drive for food that they did, which was maybe coming from addiction before, or maybe it was coming from the dips in blood sugar because they were on this blood sugar roller coaster from carbohydrates, or maybe because they just don't sit around and crave meat in the same way that they did before with carbs that were these empty calories. They feel so nourished from all of the nutrients in meat that they smile and say, I'm just never hungry. But their results are terrible. They aren't feeling good and they aren't looking like they want to look. So if you do need to track your food for a while to determine if this all describes you, please do it. If you need a total daily energy expenditure calculator, the TDEE, in order to help you determine if you are undernourished, please use one. If you need to use the word calories to help yourself eat enough, finally, then use it boldly and with the understanding that yes, it is a measurement of heat. And it's also one of the easiest ways to know how much fuel you are getting due to the way our food is labeled. You could also just make sure you're getting a certain number of protein grams and fat grams. That works. And if you multiply the protein grams by 4 and the fat grams by 9, the math works out exactly the same way. So calories, fuel, grams, meat. Call it whatever you want. But please make sure that you are nourishing your body appropriately, particularly if you are experiencing some of the symptoms that I listed earlier. If you need help knowing how to determine these things, how to baseline what you're doing now, how to make adjustments, how to fix this problem, because you know this is so you, I would love to help. I do meet live every single week with my group members. I have daily contact with them on our support page. Membership gives you access to my handbook, to the TDEE, as well as access to myself, to the 4 assistant coaches, to the breakout rooms that change every single month, and access to all of the other members that are just here to support one another. Please do not feel like you have to do this alone. You do not. Please do not believe the lie that every overweight person is simply eating too much food. It's just not true. And I know because I lived it and I see it with people frequently. In fact, I saved a few screenshots from some of my group members. Quote, sounds like you're not eating enough. I was eating about 900 calories a day and not losing. Now I'm eating 1,500 to 1,800 a day and losing. Good luck. Next. I can tell you that I came to these groups as an undereater, stalled for months. I reluctantly followed Kelly's advice to at least get to my maintenance calories, 2,100. I was scared to death. Almost a year later, I'm here to say, still losing weight, still at 2,100 calories. I feel better than ever. Next person. I reverse dieted. I gained weight. Ugh. And now I'm losing weight. Slowly. But hey, I'm getting somewhere. I am now at my lowest weight in decades. So I know this lady well. She was an undereater. She did not want to eat more. She just wanted to get off the weight. So she started slowly increasing through a reverse diet, as many group members end up doing. She gained a few pounds along the way. She was not happy. However, now she stayed at her maintenance and now she is, quote, at her lowest weight in decades. I'm so glad I didn't give up and just kept working at this. Don't give up. Okay, here's one more. This lady had been stalled for a really long time and was, quote, so frustrated. However, she lost 9 pounds that month and she did it by having to reverse diet. Oh, a quick one. Okay. I'm wrapping it up. Broke a 4 month stall, down 5 more pounds with a reverse diet. I have a ton of these. Y'all, I wouldn't be saying it if I didn't see it help people. And if I had not experienced myself, I went from a chronic undereater with so many symptoms to now being able to eat more than I have ever eaten in my life, able to feel better, able to look better. And I'm just so grateful that I found a group back then who helped me through this, that I really want to help other people with it as well. Okay, let's go get some meat. Take care of yourself and hope to see you back next Saturday. Bye.